Hello children, welcome to English with Kashish. I hope all of you are happy, healthy and safe and doing your homework and studying a little bit. I know this year has been a little loose out, but please study well, read lots of books. I have been teaching you lot of words, isn't it? Write those words down. In your glossary, there are a lot of words. Use them in your vocabulary. It will be very, very nice. I want all of you to excel in that. Okay, done. So today we are doing a very nice chapter which is called Narayanpur Incident. Now this is an incident pre-independence when everyone in India were fighting for independence. It's, there are a lot of stories that have come out then. So this is also a story about a family who was with India and wanted to have a government ruled only by India. So what they did, how they did, what was happening at that time, how the situation was so tensed and the families were going on with it. Some people were also involved in Quit India movement, isn't it? So it is about that particular family. It is written by Shashi Deshpande. So let us first read a little bit about the author. Okay, so where was she born? She was born in Dharwad, which is in Karnataka. The second daughter of the Kannada dramatist and writer Ardhya Rangacharya. So her father was a dramatist. Okay, she was educated in Bombay, which is now called Mumbai, and Bangalore too. So Shashi Deshpande has a degree in economics and law. In Mumbai, she studied journalism at the Vidya Bhavan and worked for a couple of months as a journalist for a magazine too. Onlooker. What is the magazine's name? Onlooker. She published her first collection of short stories in 1978 and her first novel, The Dark Holds No Terror, in 1980. She won the Sahitya Academy Award for the novel That Song Silence in 1990 and the Padma Shri Award in 2009. So she won Sahitya Academy and Padma Shri. Okay, her novel Shadow Play was shortlisted for the Hindu Literary Prize in 2014, which is recent. Deshpande has written 4 children's books, a number of short stories and 9 novels, besides several perceptive essays available in a volume entitled Writing from the Margin and lots of other essays. So all the authors and poets that we've discussed during our shows, you have to write it down and maybe you can take their novels and read. So one of them is Shashi Deshpande. Let us move on. Now there is a pre-reading activity in your book. The year 1942, everyone remembers that year, don't you? What is that year? It's the time of the Quit India movement. A teacher in a small town, a follower of Gandhiji, has been arrested. Okay, a teacher has been arrested because they were all followers of Gandhiji, and that time anyone who followed Gandhiji or did anything for Quit India movement were arrested. His elder son, who is the elder son? 18-year-old Mohan. So these are the characters of your story. The first character is Mohan, who is 18-year-old, and his college friends. Who is his friend? Suman. Suman was one of his college friend. Believe in a different form of resistance to the British. Everyone had their own ideas and thoughts about the British, correct? His younger son Babu, okay, who is the younger son? Whose younger son? Teachers. And Mohan's brother Babu, aged 13. How old was he? 13. And they had a daughter Manju, 2 years younger, that means 11-year-old. So who all were there? Mohan, who was 18, Mohan's friend, who was Mohan's friend? Suman, and Mohan's brother, who was Mohan's brother? Babu, and their sister Manju, who was 11-year-old, are also keen to participate in the struggle against the British. So all these brothers, sisters and Suman, their friend, were very keen to join hands and fight against the Britishers. Manju even liked dancing, you know. So let's start. I have divided the chapter into 2 parts. Let's start with the first chapter. Can you all please open the book? Open the book. Get to the chapter, come to page number 181 and let's start. Are you coming, Manju? Babu asked. Coming where? Said Manju. Even as the brother-sister were talking, they heard magical words. What is magical words did they hear? You know, when you have a puja going on or a procession going on somewhere outside, aren't you all excited? Yes, they're coming, they're coming. You all get very enthusiastic and excited. The children, like others, rushed out, heedless of the rain. They didn't even bother that it was raining, and both of them rushed out. Who rushed out? Manju and Babu. Both of them rushed out. Now, what was happening outside? Policemen now appeared all along the road. There were policemen on the road. Some of them walked in front of the students, some by their sides, but the students marched as if the police didn't exist. They walked in a complete silence. What procession was this? This was a students' procession, okay? There was some set of students who were marching along the road, and the police were around them. Why was the police around them? Because anything that happens, if a fight occurs, the police are able to control the situation before it goes big, okay? But did the students bother? No, they were just marching without even thinking that the policemen exit. There were no slogans. No one was screaming. You know, in a procession, how do you say, jao, bhago, you know, some kind of slogans you hear, but here there were no slogans. No shouts. No one was screaming like you hear, ki jai, uski jai, you hear, no, in processions and all. Here there was nothing. There was no shouts, there were no screams. Just the shuffle of feet, the drip of rain, and a low murmur from the watching crowd. What all are the noises that you can hear? The footsteps, tap, 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 correct? And the raindrops when the rains were falling. He is so nicely, she has observed that even when there are no shouts and screams, these are the few noises that you can hear. What all? Feet of the students, rain claps, and lot of crowd had gathered to see the protest, isn't it? So they were talking something, so murmurs of that crowd. Babu and Manju looked eagerly for Mohan. Now, Mohan was one of the protests. He was inside that march. Now, they were looking for Mohan, that where is he, where is he, where has he gone? Yes, there he was, dressed in white pajamas and cream-colored shirt with another boy, both holding aloft a picture of Mahatma Gandhi. Their arms must have ached holding it up that way for so long, but their faces were expressionless. They were holding a picture of Mahatma Gandhi and walking, okay, and they were wearing simple clothes, but holding that picture for so long, their hands must be aching, but the spirit inside them was so strong that they did not bother, okay. Their faces did not say that they were into any kind of pain. Their face expression was without any expression. That means expressionless. Okay. Now, the leaders of the procession. Who was the leader of the procession? Suman was one of them. Who was Suman? Mohan's friend. He was one of the leaders of the procession. They saw in excitement had reached the barred gates. As all the leaders, they saw in excitement that all the leaders are walking in front, they reached the barred gates. That means closed gates. A police officer, he was the DSP, Mohan told them later, came up to them. Now, who came up to them? DSP. Who's DSP? Deputy Superintendent of Police. He is the head. So, he came up to them to talk to them. There was some conversation between him and the students. Now, the leaders went to the police and they all were in a conversation. They were talking something. Now, what was this? This is a very typical scene of a protest march. The students seemed to be arguing. The rain had lessened now, and the police officer took off his hat and ruffled his hair. Now, imagine this as a scene. You are in a protest, lot of tension is here and there. So, there are some students who are talking. Now, while they are talking, you can make out if they are talking happily or if they are arguing, isn't it? Now, what did the police officer do? He removed his hat and he ruffled his hair. He was thinking something. Once he laughed, showing all his teeth, but the students remained serious. So, once he even laughed, you know how she is saying that he showed all his teeth, but other students, they were all very serious. One of them handed him a piece of paper. One of them also handed him a piece of paper. Now, what was that paper? We will find out soon. Moving on. He took it without glancing at it and nodded. What did he do? He took it, he nodded and just went. He did not talk about it. He did not even open the paper. So he knew what he was taking. The students turned their backs on him and one of them shouted, finally, Mahatma Gandhi ki jai, because they were all followers of Gandhiji. The others shouted back loudly. So one person screams and the other people follow him. And then they briskly marched back to the way they had come. And then they all walked back to the way they had come. So this was, I think, their motive to come and give this piece of paper to that policeman. Is that all? Manju asked in disappointment. What else did you want? What did you want? A dance? A drama? Babu asked scornfully. Nevertheless, he understood her feeling and asked Mohan the same question when he returned home. So when Mohan returned home, both brother and sister were a little tensed and they asked him, what did you want? You wanted a dance or a drama? What are you doing? What is happening here? Why did you go back so quietly? Were you scared of what the police would do? Mohan seemed immensely pleased with himself. Scared? Question mark. Not in the least. We had planned it this way. We knew they would stop us at the gate. So what happened actually was that the brother and sister Hootel, Babu and Manju were thinking, what was the protest all about? They didn't even do anything, just went to the gate and came back. Why? What did they achieve? So Mohan said, we had it all planned. We knew that the gate will be closed. Everything was pre-planned. We knew they expected us to protest and be violent. We knew that they wanted us to be a little violent and, hit each other and create a drama. Oh yes, they wanted us to do that so that they could beat us up and haul us away to the jail. If we did all that, became violent and fought and argued and hit the policemen, they will quickly put us into jail. And that's what they wanted, isn't it? That's what they wanted, to be in the jail. But we are not prepared to go to the jail. Not as yet. Anyway, not until we've given them much more trouble. So he said, I am not going to the jail till I've given them enough trouble. I know I'll go to the jail anyways, but not like this, till I have achieved something. So if there was a drama there, they would have all gone to jail, isn't it? Yes. And so we decided we would give them no chance at all. We will give them no chance at all to get angry at us and have a reason for us to be in the jail. What was the point then? Babu asked. Then what was the point? Why did you do all this? While Manju listened earnestly, her chin cupped in her hands. How is chin cupped in her hands? Like this. She was listening with her chin cupped in her hands. Okay? It's like a declaration of war. We've told them this is war for us and you are the enemy. This is a declaration. That means we have declared that this is a war going to happen now soon. This is a war for us, and who's the enemy? You are the enemy. Alright? You don't start a war without first declaring your intentions, do you? Unless you're Adolf Hitler. Amma, who had been quietly listening to them, said with a small smile. Now Amma walked in and she was listening to everyone. And what did she say? If you're Adolf Hitler, only then you declare a war. Otherwise, you don't declare. You just go. Isn't it? You don't start a war without first declaring your intentions, do you? You obviously will tell your friend, I am going to fight with you, right? Or you just go and fight. There's something happens, right? Or unless you are Adolf Hitler and you just declare a war without even giving them any warning. Right, which we are not. We are not Adolf Hitler. So that's how it was. And what was that paper you gave the policeman? Now they had seen that they were giving them a paper to the policeman. That was a notice served on the collector as representative of His Majesty's government, asking them to quit India or face the consequences. What was the paper all about? It was a declaration. It was a, what do you call it? A document. A notice. What is a notice? You serve a notice. You give a note to someone telling them that either you quit India, you go, we need to rule our own government. What was the notice all about? As representative of His Majesty's government, as a representative, I am on behalf of the Majesty's government asking them to quit India or face the consequences. If you don't quit India, you will face the consequences which are not going to be good. Okay. Suman and another boy turned up after they had finished their dinner that night. Now Suman and one more boy came to the house that night after they finished dinner. The boy staggered. What is staggered? Staggered is in your glossary. Okay. Walk or move unsteadily. Walking fast, unsteadily, don't know what's happening. In with a large newspaper covered parcel in its hand. Okay, what did he have? He had a large newspaper covered parcel. Got it? Mohan asked. His voice tensed with excitement. Yes, lot of trouble though. Now they've got something in this newspaper covered box. What is it? What is it that came in the night and came with a lot of trouble? What can it be during this tense time? Where shall I take it? Here, let me help you in my room. Okay, Amma? No. I think the puja room is better. A light there will look more normal. Like puja room is a little dim light, isn't it? So in a puja room, you won't be able to see. Now this is something secretive. Right, as usual. Amma, you're always right. The puja room then. The boy went away after a whispered conversation with Suman. That boy who had come with Suman spoke to him something about some secret and he left. Now they have kept this newspaper covered box in the puja room, alright, and Amma knows about it. Then Suman, Amma and Mohan went into the small puja room. Babu and Manju stared curiously over their shoulders at the mysterious parcel which turned out to be a cyclo-styling machine. Have you all seen this kind of machine? I don't think you should have seen this kind of machine. Now that we have printers, isn't it? We have printers, we have shops who do printing for us, we have printing machines. So at that time they had to make Gandhiji's speeches, they had to print it out and put it everywhere or distribute it to everyone, right? So how do they do it, right? So just before printers, we had typewriters. Do you remember typewriters? Yes. So before printers were typewriters and before typewriters was cyclo-styling machine. This kind of machine where you could type out anything that you want. So this machine had come to their house after a lot of trouble. Babu, Mohan said as they settled down to work, sit out in the front room and keep a watch. Now Mohan told Babu, sit in the front room and keep a watch. Make sure no one comes in. Give us a warning if anyone seems to be coming to our house. Manju, you go to bed or else, he went on, noticing her crestfallen face. That means dejected and disappointment. He told her that go to the room and sleep, but she wanted to see what the machine was, right? But he told her go and sleep because she was still young and she didn't have to know everything. So she was a little disappointed. Now crestfallen. Why is your face crestfallen? Use it. Use these words when you're talking to your friends or family. Alright? Great. You sit here in the hall and pass on Babu's warning to us. Now when he saw that she was a little disappointed, she told him, go sit with Babu and tell us if someone's come. Okay? You can also help us. So here the cyclo-styling machine has come. Mohan is starting to start his job. What is going to happen next? Will they be caught? Will they be going to jail? How are they going to come out of it? We'll find out in the part 2. Before that, let's answer some questions. These question answers are on page number 185. Why had students been marching? How was it an unusual marching? Why was it unusual? Why wasn't it like a normal march? The students were marching to serve a notice to the collector, a representative of His Majesty's government. Their demand, who is a collector? Collector is a representative of His Majesty's government. That means he is a middleman. Okay. Their demand was to ask the British to quit India or face the consequences. It was an unusual march because the students who were the marchers marched in complete silence as if the police, some of whom walked in front of the students and some by their sides, did not exist. After serving the notice, except for shouting once, Mahatma Gandhi ki jai, they briskly marched back in the same manner as they had come. Now, why didn't they create a scene? I have told you before, they did not want to be arrested and gone to the jail. They had lots to achieve. Okay, that's why. A police officer was seen talking to the student leaders. Can you guess what the officer had been talking to them? Really, the police officer had not expected this type of a march. He was expecting a violent one. They might think that there were no shouts. They might think that there were shouts, slogans, and people will violate, as it happens in a normal march, isn't it? To control the situation, they might use their lottery, etc. So he came to the students and asked about this. There was less work for the police to be done because it was a very silent march. Question number 3. Babu and Manju were a bit disappointed with the way students were marching. What was the reason? Why were they disappointed? Now the students were totally silent and they went back peacefully. For young children, the significance of the silent march wouldn't have much sense. They would have taken slogans, lathi charge and bloodshed as indicative of heroism and patriotism. When you show a struggle or a violence, only then will you show patriotism, is it, or heroism? Don't you remember Gandhiji's? Gandhiji was the main moral, what do you call it, icon, okay, the idol. They followed Gandhiji's principles. And what is Gandhiji's main principle? Non-violence, isn't it? So they were all Gandhiji's followers. So why would they fight or violate or do lathi charge? They won't. I think they created a better point than anyone who fights. So Babu and Manju were disappointed with the way the students were marching because for them there was no drama. Question 4. What had the police expected about the way of protest? How did the student leaders manage to protest? So the police expected there will be so much protest against the British. So many people, including a teacher, were arrested. The angry people might destroy public property. The revolt people could do anything and disturb the peace of the people, isn't it? But the intention of the students' leaders was completely different. They planned to do more things and give more troubles to police officers. If they get arrested easily, there was of no use. They wanted to trouble the police officers more, but they did not want to get arrested now. Make people aware of Mahatma Gandhi's speech. So they managed their march so silently and showed their protest against British rule non-violently, without any fights, without any drama. Alright, so with this, we finish the first part of our story. I will meet you soon in the second part of the story and we will see what these students achieved. Bye-bye, take care. Hello students, welcome back to our part 2 of the incident, that episode of Narayanpur incident, correct? You remember what all happened then? You remember the characters? You remember the brother sisters? The main character was Mohan, his best friend Suman, the brother Babu and the sister Manju with their amma. So they had all, Mohan had participated in a protest march. Now he did not go to the march with a violent mind. He went with a very peaceful mind. All of them together. The march had no screams, no shouts, no slogans, no fights, no lathi charges. They just went, they gave a piece of paper to the DSP which he had to give to the collector. Who's a collector? A representative of the government. And in the end, just once they said Mahatma Gandhi ki jai and they came back. Now everyone at home was shocked that this march was of no use because there was nothing. You didn't show any heroism, you didn't show any patriotism. They said no. If we did anything like that, they would arrest us, and in the jail we can't do anything. So being outside, I want everyone to be aware of what's happening. So the main motive of them was to make everyone aware of Gandhiji's speech. How do they do that? So they got a cyclo-styling machine home. It's like a typewriter, and they were about to type out Gandhiji's speeches and give it to everyone. Okay, so they had just gone into the puja room and they were starting to do it. They told Manju and Babu to sit in the hall and be careful so that no one comes in. Let's read on.